Hello everyone, the summer showcases have come and gone, and we've had an extra wealth of awesome new games to look forward to. May and June offer some of the most exciting times for players to see what new games will be revealed, whether it be a brand new IP, an adaptation from a large movie or TV franchise, or a sequel to some of the best, most beloved games of all time. Sadly though, E3 is well, deader than a dodo. Expectations are sky high, especially these days since we are nearing a point where most new games will end up abandoning cross-gen completely. This was also a crucial time for Sony and Microsoft to show their hand with the upcoming exclusive titles to show what the current consoles are capable of. I know that everyone has covered their major showcases. All I can say here is that Sony's showcase was a disappointment, Summer Game Fest was slightly better, but it's still mid, and Microsoft had a brilliant sweep with their showcase. In my dire state of Xbox video, I said that Microsoft, they needed a strong selection of exclusive games to keep the platform relevant, and they delivered on that, to the point where their future exclusive lineup looks brighter than Sony's. But enough of that. I want to talk about the announcements that caught my eye and got me majorly excited. Games that I want to get my hands on, take the day off work, and play them all day. It's time to be positive, grab a cup of tea, and look at the games that I felt were the best announcements at this summer's showcases. Also, grab a cup of coffee and subscribe to the channel too, it's really appreciated. Man, have I wished for times like this. I've been a fan of the Metal Gear series for a long time now, and after seeing how Kojima and Konami fell out with each other to the point where MGS5's plot wasn't even fully complete, we received a game that's not even worthy of the Metal Gear name. Don't say it! Don't fucking say it!
Forgive me for what I'm about to do.
There was no hope of this series ever making a comeback. Konami were just firmly focused on making eFootball, Yu-Gi-Oh!, the odd collection for the Castlevania series, or games and long-time series that were just total shit. It was a dark time to be a fan of Konami's games. But they've been making a big comeback, and this was the one game I truly lost my shit at. MGS Delta, Snake Eater, it was a worst kept secret for a long time. But this trailer perfectly captured the dark, unsettled atmosphere of the jungle within Snake Eater, from the electric fences to the wildlife fighting for their prey. The moment I saw Snake appear from the shadows from the trees, alongside hearing the Snake Eater theme, only one thing became clear: Metal Gear has finally come back. I know we haven't seen much of this game at the moment, but my excitement is at an all-time high. 5 years ago, the thought of Konami even producing a remake to an MGS game was unthinkable. From the few screenshots they provided, the game is looking like it's going to be faithful to the original MGS3. The team of Konami have absolutely nailed it down so far, but I really want to see some more gameplay. If they can adapt the brilliant gameplay from MGS5 alone, I think that will solidify my excitement for this remake. Reusing the original voice cast is a welcome move too. I think nothing needed to be changed, because MGS3's voice acting was superb for a PS2 game at the time, and it still holds up to this very day. Simply put, the Metal Gear Bros. 1. After 8 years of having nothing, there's finally something amazing to look forward to, and I can't wait for them to share more info on Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater. And let's not forget the Master Collection. We're getting 2 volumes out of this, and the first one is releasing this autumn, featuring 3 of my favourite games of all time: Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. I'm curious about how they will handle porting the original MGS to current consoles, but I have trust in Konami to make sure that MGS 2 and 3 are in the best state possible. And at the very least, those ports are based on the excellent HD collection released in 2011. The only notable change is that restoring these games to new platforms has taken a big sacrifice: the use of historical war footage. So it'll be interesting to see what they can make a compromise with. One thing is for sure though, I know that I won't need to plug in the George Foreman grill for 3 of the best Metal Gear games ever made, but I know for sure that it's still going to be my MGS4 machine. After the tremendous success of both Marvel's Spider-Man and Miles Morales, there are very high expectations for Spider-Man 2 to deliver. I enjoyed both games. They were absolutely amazing. Spider-Man had some of the best traverse on combat that I've ever seen in an open world game, and not to mention the story was brilliant from start to finish. It's easily one of my favourite PS4 games of all time. Miles Morales expanded on the framework that the original game did by building on Miles' character and abilities, and it's also a perfect setup for the sequel. Right off the bat, you can tell that Spider-Man 2 is going for darker, gritty atmosphere and experience. Like, the moment you see Peter Parker in the symbiote suit, he is not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that you know. His personality change is instantaneous. The symbiote abilities in the game are incredible, and when you really think about it, Peter's attacks are a lot more vicious and powerful. He's also dismissive of Miles when they're working together. As for Miles himself, his new powers are miles beyond what he was capable of doing in the previous games. His blue electric powers are a lot stronger, and it also solidifies his growing confidence as Spider-Man himself. Spider-Man 2's scope is significantly upgraded. The playable map is miles stronger, so I'd imagine we'll have a lot more to play with, especially with the side missions and areas where combat is greatly encouraged. Perhaps the feature that I'm most excited about, easily, is the character switching mechanic, where you can seamlessly switch between Peter and Miles. It's something that can be easily achieved now that the PS5 isn't bogged down with the limits of a hard drive. So I'm glad that they're giving players the opportunity to explore both Spider-Man stories without any limit whatsoever. Yes, Spider-Man 2 is still based on the core of the game that was released like 5 years ago, but it's shaping up to be a fantastic experience that I'm incredibly hyped for when it releases in October. Now, this game was not what I expected, right? Buried underneath like some of the biggest game announcements of Summer Game Fest is Sandland. This game is based on a manga from Akira Toriyama, the man behind Dragon Ball and the artwork of Dragon Quest. I don't really read that much manga, so I had to do a Google search on the basic plot line behind this game. It's set in a desert land where humans and demons are suffering from an extreme water shortage, and there's a legendary spring that's been sought after by the main characters in Sandland. I still want to see more of this game, but I love the fact that you can build tanks and use them throughout, alongside the action-focused gameplay. This immediately caught my interest, and while Sandland deserves a spot in my most exciting announcements from the summer showcases. Okay, I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat guy if you ask me, but I still enjoyed the most recent entries in those games. I used to play a lot of 9 and 10, and briefly for a little bit 11. This game is a clean slate. A whole new timeline is being introduced in Mortal Kombat 1. And during Summer Game Fest, we got a whole new gameplay trailer. The gore, fatalities in Mortal Kombat 1 look amazing. And the transition between the character select screen to the fight intros, it's clean and super smooth. The biggest feature in this game are the cameos. We're getting a mechanic that's found a place in the likes of games like Marvel vs Capcom and Dragon Ball FighterZ, but these cameo fighters have their own combos, abilities and attacks, alongside assisting in the final blow, and of course the big one, fatalities. This game looks so hype in a way where I'm genuinely feeling that it's a day one purchase, and it's probably the big game for me in September. Not since Mortal Kombat 9 have I been excited for a game in this series. Like man, fighting game pros, they're eating good this year and the next. Okay, first of all, I did not lie about Sonic Frontiers. And second of all, I'm not going to make an apology video about it either. More importantly though, Sonic Superstars is looking great. This game's movement and visual style caught my eye, like we're getting another banger of a Sonic game straight after Frontiers released. And although the alarm bells would have been raised because the developers of Balan Wonderboard Arzest are working on this game, I think these fears should be put to rest because Sonic Superstars uses the same physics system as Sonic Mania. That game was fantastic, and I'm just glad that they're doing this game justice by making the movement and physics so good. All of the major characters in Superstars have their own abilities, and 4-player co-op is a huge feature. And Sonic is continuing a winning streak, and well, even if this game is costing like $60, this might be worth the price either way, because Superstars is looking really good. And let's be real, any game with a soundtrack by T. Lopes is instantly a banger. Now, don't get me wrong, I've only dabbled into the Yakuza series for a bit. Zero was the only one that I've played through and completed, and I even managed to do some of the sub-stories and circuit racing. The replay value for these games is immense, and I've only just started playing through Yakuza Kiwami, and that game has been a blast to play. But man, this trailer for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has to be one of the most humorous ones I've ever seen come out of a video game. But it's also got my eye to keep on playing the series leading up to this entry. What struck my interest is the fact that Infinite Wealth actually expands beyond the usual setting in Yakuza, and I really want to see more out of this game. There's Like a Dragon Gaiden 2, and I would have talked about this game a bit more, but my hype levels are in check until I've played through the rest of the games. But still, it's got my interest. All I've got to do is play more Yakuza. Final Fantasy VII Remake was phenomenal. It brought back one of the best JRPGs of all time into the modern era, and it expanded this story in Midgar in a way that I didn't think they'd go far with, so I'm extremely hyped to see what they're doing with Rebirth. One of the best parts with this game trailer is the expanded combat. FF7 Remake's combat system was already amazing with a mix of turn-based and action, but this raises the stakes even further. We have tag team limit break attacks, like we see Tifa and Aerith teaming up in the fight to deliver a huge blow, alongside the likes of Red 13 and Yuffie joining the party. Not only that, but anyone who has played the remake will easily tell that this marks the point where Cloud finishes his journey in Midgar. He heads off to Calm, setting off the events of Rebirth, and as the trailer has shown, Sephiroth, he has also proven to be a lot more manipulative towards Cloud than he was in the original game, as well as a possible change in the timeline. The story alone is going to be really insane once this game comes out next year, and the fact that this is on 2 discs is also eye-opening. Will it mean that the bulk of the remake storyline be included within Rebirth? I'll guess we'll know in the coming months, but considering how much I enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm confident that Rebirth will deliver. This is what won the Xbox showcase for me. To think that this game was announced 6 years ago and we got almost nothing during that period of time, and this was the reveal that really sets me off. Metaphor with Fantazio is the first big game from Studio Zero, headed by the director of Personas 3, 4 and 5, Katsuo Hashino. The expectations for this game are through the roof, particularly after how much of a masterpiece Persona 5 was, and with Fantazio is a huge departure from Atlus Shin Megami Tensei and Persona series, in that while it still carries the DNA of those games, it is a big first for them in that they're dabbling in the fantasy RPG genre, and by all accounts so far, they have already exceeded those expectations. The scale and scope of this game looks significantly bigger than Persona 5 was, and I love how you can explore the game with a sword that looks like a hoverboard. And like I said before, there is some strong DNA from the Persona games. You can form bonds with characters you meet throughout the game like social links. And there's a daily life system, at least from what I can see so far. And the press turn system has returned from the SMT games too. However, I really want to see more of the story. There's a strong but vague outline of what the plots will really look like, but this is one of these games that we just really want to know more. And my goodness, the stylized design of this game is incredible. They've taken what made Persona 3, 4 and 5 so good and adapted it so incredibly in a fantasy setting. The menus and HUDs, I normally don't pay too much attention to them, but they look amazing in every way possible. I have insanely high expectations for this game. Coming out of Persona 5, Atlus knows that it has to set the bar high for its future games, and from what they've shown out of Metaphor for Fantazio, they are cooking something extremely awesome with this. This game is looking like it's going to be an instant day one for me. I've kinda wanted to play Super Mario RPG for quite a while, but I was not expecting Nintendo and Square to go all out for the remake. Before the Nintendo Direct on Wednesday, there was a lot of speculation about a possible remake of a big SNES JRPG. Some people thought that it was going to be Fire Emblem 4, some people thought that it was going to be Chrono Trigger receiving a remake, but when I saw that cutscene with Peach at the center with those grey clouds, I was like, holy shit, they're really doing this remake. Geno fans won, dude. They won. They got their redemption after how they got snubbed for Smash. Super Mario RPG looks completely faithful to the original SNES classic. The environments, the setting, the story, everything. They've retained the turn-based battle system as well, and it makes for a welcoming experience to anyone who's played the original game, as well as people who are starting out with the remake. it still looks just as fun as it did all these years ago. I'm still somewhat shocked that they've remade Super Mario RPG, and when is that game coming out? Like 17th of November? Oh my goodness. Do I play Super Mario RPG or Persona 5 Tactica? Well, I've got a choice to make within the next couple months, right? Alright, the surprise for these games got spoiled a few days before the Xbox showcase, but I'm still incredibly excited for both Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tactica. I've only played a bit of Persona 3 FES, and whilst Portable did add some additional content like the FemC route, you cannot help but feel that it isn't the same. The PSP's limitations still persist with the new ports of Portable, and you really just couldn't explore the world in full 3D. Persona 3 Reload solves this almost entirely. It looks amazing and feels modernized in every way possible. The environments, visuals, look like they're a huge leap from what it looks like back on the PS2. If I was to play this game for the first time again, I would easily pick Reload by a mile. My only concern is if much of the content from FES would be able to make it into this game. Not including the answer, an integral part of Persona 3 FES, is a big blow, but you know what, I'm still gonna get this game anyway. And not to mention, let's not forget Persona 5 Tactica. The chibi art style is something I don't really mind, and I like the tactics battle system that this game is going for, but I don't really have much to say other than the fact that I'm excited for this game as well. And with the last game on this list, I'm keeping a firm open mind. I may not be as overly excited for this game as much as the others, but I'm still pretty intrigued by Avowed. After a 3-year silence from Obsidian Entertainment, where they revealed this game at the Xbox Game Showcase in 2020, all the way to the one that we had this year, I'm looking a bit more optimistic, at least in regards to the gameplay and story. From what's been shown, Avowed is taking on the first person look that it had when it was first revealed, but it shed that gritty look. It's a more vibrant one from what I've seen with the latest gameplay trailer. That is not a bad thing by any means. I'm down to see more games that share a colourful look. The gameplay caught my interest immediately. You're taking on a mix of magic spells and melee-based sword fights, which looks really fun. And the story is also interesting as well. You're an envoy from the Empire, tasked with investigating some unknown but deadly plague. To also sweeten the deal, this game is at least an open world. It does have some open zones that you can explore throughout, but progression is at least linear based. It's a breath of fresh air, particularly because we've seen a lot of big titles aim for an open world setting, but I digress. This may be one of the big exclusives to get me playing on Xbox some more next year. I could have listed a few more games, but these are the ones that I'm excited about at least. We're eating good with a great selection of games to wow everyone over the next year or two, and I'm feeling very optimistic about what we've gotten with these reveals. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment or subscribe to the channel, it's really appreciated, alongside following my Twitter and joining my Discord. Thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.